I'm here at UDS in Budapest, and I am with Mike Basinger, and we're going to talk a little bit about his role on the Forums Council and on the Community Council. Mike, what's it like being on the Forums Council?
It's a very interesting position. We've been working on the forum since about 2005. It's one of the larger communities in Ubuntu. We have about 1 million user accounts created. There have been 9 million posts created since 2005 when the forums were originally created.
So, what exactly does the Forums Council do? And before you answer that, 1 million posts? That is amazing.
That's 1 million users.
1 million users. That is amazing. So, what does the Forums Council do in regards to the forums?
Anytime you have a community that big, you're going to have disagreements, misunderstandings, and just like any council or governance body, and especially in open source, it's more of a conduit of communications because, different cultures, different backgrounds, people, arguments start up, and there's usually you just have to find the common ground to get people to, just find out what's important and help make Ubuntu better.
Well, I know you said that, part of it's, diffusing those disagreements, and you do a great job because I rarely ever hear about any of those disagreements, and I don't know that the rest of the community does either. So you do a great job at that as a council. So let's talk about the Community Council. This past cycle, something rare happened that doesn't really happen a lot, in that a community member was asked to leave. How was that decision, or asked to suspended for a few years for their contribution? I assume that was not an easy decision to make, and how much deliberation went into actually making a decision like that?
We debated that for a long time, and it wasn't just a community council in this case. The developer membership board was involved in that because he was a active developer. So they were more on hands in what he does and what the problem was. So there was a lot of feedback from them and from developers in the community. Now, it wasn't like he screwed up once and he's gone. And this has been an ongoing problem for a few months now, maybe even longer, before the people on the community council were aware of it. And it was an unfortunate situation, and this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this happen, and I hope I never see it again, because it was really, it was a really hard situation for everybody.
I can imagine, and that's why I asked the question, not to put you on the spot per se, but to let people know that while we have our code of conduct, and while most people do abide by that code of conduct, and it's been rumored in an undercurrent at times that nobody really applies that or overlays that or even uses that to kind of herd cats in a way, or even apply that to any disciplinary issues. And I think that while it's rare, it does happen, and I thought maybe people just needed to see a glimpse of that we do police our own, and that we do take care of the communities when something is being disruptive to the community. And I think you guys do a great job of that. Can you tell people a little bit more about how many members are on the Community Council and what else that you guys do?
Currently there are 7, I think. Yeah, there's 7. And we're in all different time zones across the world. In fact, the Community Council is mostly people who do not work for Canonical. These are literally community members. And some of us work in tech fields in other places, and some of us, do other jobs. But we're all here because we have a great love for Ubuntu and the ideas behind it, and we just want to make a better product and a better community.
How many hours would you say, on average, like the average month, do you put into working on the Community Council?
Well, we try to have at least a hour or 2 meeting twice a month. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, due to time commitments. And then we try to respond to mail. I at least probably answer or read Community Council mail for at least 2 hours a week. Plus, and just keeping an ear to the community, and just giving advice to people when on IRC when they ask for it. So it's not like it's a huge commitment, but it's an important commitment. So and I take it very seriously when I do it.
I think that is actually one of the great things about the community council. It's not drive-by contributors that end up on the community council. It's people who've been in the community for a while with established, sustained contribution who actually know and can see the wider community and can see a lot of angles to the community in that broad overview, yet also understand what it's like to come in as that first-time contributor and then what it's like years later. So the perspective of the community council is not a narrow view. It is a broad view that touches almost every area of the community on a personal level. And I think you guys do a great job of representing the community in that aspect. Now, in addition to your Forums Council's role and your Community Council role, you also write for the only publication to have a magazine dedicated to Ubuntu. Can you tell a little bit about what you do for Ubuntu User Magazine?
I write the basic question-answer section. Basically, users can send in emails or letters asking questions about Ubuntu, and once I get them, I'll answer them in the magazine the best I can. Sometimes it's kind of hard to do a tech support with such a time lag and not be able to answer secondary questions. So in some cases, the answers are pretty generalized, just because the people, they just don't have enough information to give me. So when I answer these questions, usually I give hints to how to look for solutions themselves. So I tell them, run this command to figure out if the device is showing up properly in the first place. So, or okay, this is a camera problem. Be sure to look into the Ubuntu wiki under webcams, and maybe they'll have a solution for you there.
Do the questions come directly emailed to you, or do you pull them from the forum sometimes, or where do most of the questions come from?
Most of the questions are emailed to me. If there's a common question I've been seeing in the community, will answer it. I'll create a question for the community and answer it myself. I remember when the buttons got moved. It was a big question how to move them, why they were moved. And I didn't specifically get a question asked to me personally about that, but I've seen it 100 times in the forums and IRC and the different support areas in Ubuntu. So I created a question with, common questions about the button move, just to inform the readers that, we're probably having this question and just hadn't had a chance to ask it yet.
Mike, you're one of those quiet forces in the community, and you observe and you watch and you comment, and when you do act on things, it is not in haste. It's always well thought out. It's not like a snap decision. We're in the third day of UDS. What would you say is something that you see that the community could use more of? Where do they need to get involved more at? What do you see the biggest need from the community standpoint as it pertains to UDS in day 3? And it may change by day 5, but where do you see that greatest need right now?
Well, during his keynote, Mark made a prediction that there were going to be 200 million Ubuntu users in 4 years. And I was thinking, well, as a community, we got to prepare for that. Our community has been slowly growing since 2005. But, not to say that we have definite plans to get those 200 million users, but, we need to think about that. The one thing about open source and Linux is that we've been in this 1% of computer usage, for the last 10 years, and we've never had a breakout. And I feel Ubuntu is the closest thing to this breakout. And I would like to see, we need to get feedback from the community and say, how can we, endear ourselves to the hearts of the average user and make them say when they buy a computer, so, and make them, you know, demand, like, I want Ubuntu on this computer. I want to be part of this. That's a part of this, you know, group that's building better computing, not just building themselves, you know, a fortune. And I think that's, you know, that's one thing I really would like to see from the community.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking time to stop by and give us a little bit of an insight to the Forums Council and to the Community Council and to your role outside, you know, the UDS and how you contribute to bringing in more users as well. So thank you so much, and looking forward to the rest of UDS and seeing what all happens this next cycle.
Thank you.
Thank you.